Hi everyone, I'm here today to talk about the Dewey dilemma. Is it time to dump Dewey in the school library? Full disclosure, according to New York Public Librarian Gwen Glazer, based on the Which Dewey Are You quiz, I should be cataloged at 060.4. Helpful, but is Dewey as good at organizing books for students as this quiz is for identifying future librarians? The move away from Dewey began with the Maricopa County Library District in Arizona back in 2008, when that system shifted to a BISAC organizational system. Some public libraries followed suit, and school librarians began debating the issue as well, devoting an entire issue of Knowledge Quest to the topic in 2013. Like many school librarians, I'm considering whether to genreify and ditch or dump Dewey. Why? Numerous researchers have noted that the Dewey Decimal System has issues with bias. As Olson notes, the problem of bias in classification can be linked to the nature of classification as a social construct. It reflects the same biases as the culture that creates it. We all know the importance of cultural competence in the library, as noted by Alfeld, Bishop, Johnson, and Morillon. And Weigand points out that cultural competence includes not unquestioningly relying on the resources of the past, as such resources contain implicit biases, creating the potential for built-in censorship that merely rests on a veneer of intellectual freedom. Ask yourself, what determines whether a story from Greek mythology qualifies for religious treatment, 292, or for folktale treatment at 398.7? Why does Christianity get almost the entire section of the religious decade of Dewey from 200 to 289, while all other religions get only call numbers 290 to 299, according to Saheda? Another issue, as Kwasnick sets out in explaining Olson's 1998 critique of Dewey, is that the Dewey Decimal System uses a hierarchical structure that misses important connections in a web of information. This creates practical issues. Here's what I discovered while weeding my nonfiction section. Let's say that I'm a 13-year-old girl who has questions about whether I'm normal because people say I'm weird. Books on teen issues with very similar titles or covering very similar topics can be in very different areas. Is this particular issue psychology? A social problem? A matter for the social sciences? Does the teen have to talk to the librarian to browse books on what could be an embarrassing topic to discuss? Librarything's helpful For Our Friends feature shows the overlapping Dewey categories for just one of the call numbers that came up in our teen girls search. Or what about an 11-year-old boy who wants to work in the space industry and is obsessed with returning to the moon and wants to browse in this area? Where does he start? In astronomy? In engineering? In classical mechanics? Or maybe in generalities? Again, here is the Librarything For Our Friends list for just one of these call numbers. It is true that a student could search the catalog, then go on a scavenger hunt through the library to find each of these sections, but couldn't we make discovery of interconnected areas easier by using what Kaplan, Doloff, Gifford, and still Schiff call orchestrated luck? And as Thomas Mann notes in his defense of maintaining physical collections in academic libraries, sometimes you can't find what you want or even what you didn't know you needed unless you browse interconnected materials. But is it possible that Dewey categorization may, as Olson argues, impede this process? Kaplan et al. Note that so much effort can be spent on the process of searching that we felt as if our library was focused on finding materials rather than actually using them, and at odds with the emphasis on inquiry and critical thinking skills found in the American Association of School Librarians Standards for the 21st Century Learner.
As Sahadat notes, it's a matter of respect that resources pertaining to the communities that libraries serve, represent, and describe should be classified in a way that is meaningful to the communities themselves. This past year, I reflected on why my middle school nonfiction section was largely ignored, while the elementary nonfiction section at one of our feeder elementary schools, where I've volunteered for almost a decade, gets lots of love. For more than a quarter of my population, who come from that elementary school, the same kids that love nonfiction in elementary are now eschewing it in middle. Why? Based on my observations, the answer very well may be genrefication. This elementary library is not really genrefied, but it invites browsing with labels that look a lot like the genre labels in a bookstore, from folk and fairy tales to the planets, dinosaurs, pets, reptiles, birds, mammals, the arts, sports. The sections that are labeled as a genre are where the students go. Revisitng noted a similar response from students when an elementary library started using icons to identify genre. So what are schools doing in response to this challenge? Some are doing nothing. Supporters of the Dewey Decimal System note that it keeps students connected to systems used by many other libraries. It also maintains authority control. And it is organized but capable of evolving. They suggest using better signs, doing better training to explore connections, and truncating the numbers to use just the first 3 digits to make things easier for students to find. Some schools, while genrifying fiction, are leaving their nonfiction sections arranged by Dewey numbers, as Hembry, Snipes, and Revisitng note. Other schools are going Dewey light. As Maricola notes, our nonfiction books still have a shelf address via Dewey, but now they are first grouped by their overall likeness and then arranged in Dewey order within that higher grouping. Finally, some schools are doing full genrefication. Supporters of completely dumping Dewey note that this best meets students' browsing needs. Researchers including Buchter and Kaplan et al. Support this method, though Snipes notes that this full conversion is more common in elementary and middle schools. There are a few approaches. In New York City, Kaplan and her partners adopted the METIS system and noted that their circulation increased by 100% or more in many sections after the conversion. BISAC, the system used by bookstores, is another option. Though I could not find any examples of school libraries that have adopted this system, public libraries have, and it is certainly an option for school libraries as well. Some schools have created their own systems designed to match individual school needs. So, where do we go from here?
I commend Volume 42, Number 2 of Knowledge Quest to you if you want to explore dumping Dewey. For those looking to switch to a Dewey Light or fully genrefied system, Follett Destiny, the most popular school library ILS, now offers software to help make the process easier. You can also find information on METIS and BISAC online.
If you have any questions for me or would like to discuss this topic further, please feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching.